There you go.
Okay, we're at the Wings Over Broadway High School Sports Preview Show. I'm Andy Morales and my brother Javier Morales, and we're with Sunnyside head coach Glenn Posey. And just got your 50th victory, career victory. So you wanted to just talk briefly about your career, where you've been, all your stops, so people can catch up with where you've been all these years.
This would be my 30th year coaching. I spent the first 9 years at Sunnyside. Then I took the head coaching job at Florence for 3 years. Came back to Sunnyside in 2003 when we won the state championship. And I coached with Rich all the way to 2010. And then when he retired, I took over 2011 for 4 years as a head coach. And then the last 3 years I was at Pima College, and now we're back at Sunnyside.
And you were also a player at Sunnyside.
Yes, I was.
And you held, and they probably don't know, some of your players, you held the state record 157 career catches for 27 years. I think it was broken in 2014. Can you talk about that, what it means to be in the record book that long, or do you even think about that?
It was a lot of fun. It was a nice run. You know, I played with one of the top quarterbacks to ever play the game in high school football, Bobby Valdez, and we had a great relationship. We worked really hard in the offseason together all 3 years, and it paid off on the field. And you know, I never thought the record would hold up that long, just because of the advent of the pass game and the spread concepts. But it lasted until Kurt Warner took over at Desert Mountain. And the kid's now starting for the Baltimore Ravens, so I don't feel so bad.
That's a good way to have your record go down.
On a personal note, Glenn and I went to Sunnyside at the same time. I'm a little older than he is, but I remember being in the PE class with you, with Humberto Federico was a teacher. And you could tell back then, just you were a sophomore, about your competitive nature. And to follow up on that, last year, now I'm teaching at Gallego Intermediate, and he came over and talked to one of my classes, one of the better speakers that came over for some of these players. So it's like giving back to Sunnyside. Can you talk about being able to do that now twice now, being able to coach Sunnyside where you played, and what's that mean to be part of the community again?
I'm really proud of the fact that there's been a Posey at Sunnyside since 1957. So my uncle was in the very first graduating class, and my dad graduated 5 years after him. And my uncles, my aunts, and I'm the first grandchild in the family. We all went through Sunnyside, and then my mom worked in the district for 30 years. So somebody's been there at Sunnyside since 1957, and here we are in 2019, and we're still going at it, and real proud of that fact. And you know, my high school football success led me to a scholarship that turned me into a football career, coaching, and the fact that we were able to give back to the community a program to be proud of, state champions, producing college-able kids that have had productive careers and lives now in the community. And we got community leaders, there's doctors, lawyers, dentists, real estate agents, kids that are hitting home runs in life, military personnel that have done great. Just super proud of our kids and the program that we've had for all these years, and to be back, we got to get it going again.
Can you talk about getting it going again? I went to your practice a couple weeks ago, and you mentioned that basically you have to reinstitute the culture there and get the players, you know, motivated to work hard. And so much is work ethic with youth sports and athletes. Can you talk about the challenges you face with that, having taken over from the last coaching staff?
Our weight room is the difference maker in the last 30 years, and we had to reinstitute, show them what it meant to be in the weight room, how to do it correctly, how to compete in the weight room, and putting that all together, we've only had 6 months. They've done a great job. When I got there, we had 5 kids make the 1,000-pound club. Now we have 20 plus kids in the 1,000-pound club in only 6 months difference. But you play a team like Campo Verde, who's had a 4-year program with kids, you see the difference. And it's going to take a little time, and we have that sense of urgency, and we're trying to get there right now, and the kids are working hard, they're doing the right things. It's just the difference in our coaching style versus the past staff. We're just asking kids to do things a little differently, And so we're overcoming some things that they had, some habits that they did it their way, and we wanted to do it our way. And we're getting there. It's just it's a slow process, and we haven't made the 1,000 rep threshold yet. And we're going to keep going and coaching until they get it. And we hope they hurry up and get there before next Friday.
We talked a little bit about, you obviously played at Sunnyside, and we both went to Los Ranchitos Elementary School. We're Southsiders. Can you talk a little about the history? I played football, youth football, and I believe 1 year at Sunnyside Junior High with David Adams, John Horton, and Jerry Beasley. Obviously went on to play for U of A. And my older brother, Hector, played with a receiver on the Harry Holt era. And you obviously know a lot more of the guys. One of your players you coached went to the NFL. Can you talk about the history of Sunnyside? It's very rich. And again, I don't know if the current players know how rich that history is.
Yeah, Sunnyside was blessed in those early 80 teams. You're talking about 5 guys played in the NFL from the 1980 team. David, Fred Sims was an All-American. I remember on signing day, Barry Switzer showing up in a white Cadillac at Sunnyside High School in a fur coat in Tucson in February. A little bit over-exaggerant, but that was his personality. Fred signs the letter of intent, goes to Oklahoma, and the Marcus Dupree ended up signing the next year. And that's what knocked Fred out of the limelight. And Fred ends up leaving Oklahoma, tries to join the USFL, and then he starts trying to make a career. But he was a great football player. George Duarte ended up going to NAU, makes it to the NFL, plays with the Jets. John Horton plays at U of A. He gets drafted, and then he has his trials and tribulations. Yeah, he played with the Outlaws, and David played in the CFL. Got his cup of tea in the Scab games, and we've had some great history. In the 80s when I played, Bobby was our best player by far, and we had some dudes that could play. Hendrix Johnson ended up getting a tryout with the Indianapolis Colts. He was my teammate. Quick side note on that is Hendrix was at Western, and he broke his pinky his freshman year, so they redshirted. And so my sophomore year, Hendrix had a really good year, and I told our coaches, we need to get Hendrix. Well, I ended up breaking both my wrists my sophomore year in spring ball, and I get Hendrix to come to NAU. Well, Hendrix replaces me in the fall and becomes Big Sky Player of the Year. So thank you, Hendrix, and he ends up getting a trial with the Indianapolis Colts, and so we've had some great success. His little brother played at U of A basketball, and Jermaine Watts was one of our top athletes, and Jermaine could have been a D1 football player, but he chose basketball, which wasn't bad for him. And then we had Diego Rico, my first years of coaching. Phenomenal. He could have been a D1 football player, but he chose baseball. And then from there, we had David Coronado, Fido, Xavier Smith, Mike Smith ended up playing in the NFL after a great career. And he went through some trials and tribulations. That kid broke his hip first day of practice at Eastern Arizona. Sits out in gray shirts that first year. Next year averages 10 yards a carry. Utah State signs him. He plays on that team. Ends up being drafted by Tampa Bay as a kick returner for 3 years. Broke his foot every single year. So that ended his career. He's now coaching at Dixie State. So he's still in it, involved in it. And, we made a nice little run. We had 10 consecutive years of at least a quarterfinal appearance and playoff wins, and just a nice run with Rich. And then when I took over, we struggled the first couple of years, going 5-5, and then we got the system back in place, and we got some great kids, and we ended up upsetting Ironwood Ridge, and we were the 15 seed, they were the 2 seed, and that was probably our best win. And then I left for Pima in the last couple of years. We went to the bowl game last year, had some serious, really good success last year. We have a bunch of kids across the nation playing in a bunch of D1 schools at Vanderbilt, Buffalo, Colorado, Utah. It was a really good experience for me. Old Dog got to learn some new tricks, working with Brian Hernandez and Coach Linden and Coach Monaco. So the offensive staff was awesome. It was a great experience for me. Came back and trying to do a better job at the high school level.
I heard Monaco recently on the radio say that every kid on that team who wanted to play found a spot. So that's incredible. You want to talk about that last Pima team a little bit?
Yeah, we were super talented. Coach Linden and I went down to Louisiana, Atlanta, and Alabama for 4 days. We drove the entire state of Louisiana on one day. We started at 5 a.m. and we got back to the hole at 5 a.m. So then the next day we went to Atlanta and we ended up signing 14 kids. And all those kids are still playing at JUCO and or D1 level, D2 level. We got a bunch of kids playing all over the nation, back in Hawaii. So it was a great experience. I got 3 Hawaii trips out of Pima, so I'm not complaining at all.
You touched on some of the coaches. What coaches impacted you the most when you started coming up through? I'm sure you played TYF, going through middle school, Sunnyside, and then so on. What coaches impacted you the most?
I played for Terry Seward, and he was a great father figure for me. I went out with Kolstrak's daughter during high school, so I had an extra close relationship with him, and Sanchez and Samarano were always there at the house. So I was surrounded by coaches nonstop from 14 years old on, which was very impactful to me. You know, state championship expectations, state championship standards, and guys that just worked their tails off. Kolstrak, and they would work out at 5 o'clock in the morning with the coaches, and the players was optional. So not many of us showed up, but since I was going out with the coach's daughter, I had to show up. And then I grew from there, working with side by side with Sanchez for all those years. He's obviously the most impactful. His work ethic was crazy. If you just tried to keep up with him, it was hard. So he taught me a lot about work ethic, organization, setting demands and high standards, and just working hard and grinding. And off season, you know, you never rest. All those things, you know. Rich was the most impactful, but you know, Rich was so good. He was so willing to say, we don't know, so let's go ask. We talked to Freely. We talked to Scurry. We talked to Howard Briney. We weren't shy. We said, hey, tell us how you do it so we can try and figure it out. We flew out to Nebraska. We talked to Boyd Epley on the weight training and how the Nebraska way did it in the 80s when they were dominating. So we were stealing from everybody. And it just kept making Sunnyside football better and better. And then we figured out how we needed to do it. And you know, the first couple years, those workouts were brutal. Our kids worked out 3 hours a day in the weight room. And then we cut it down to 2 hours. And then it got down to an hour and a half. And became more efficient, and we weren't killing the kids in the off season. So they got better because of, we got better as coaches because we're traveling around the country learning to get better.
One thing we haven't touched on yet is you earned your 50th career coaching victory last week in the win over Rincon. Now, some people might be like 50 wins, but when you look at it, there's 11 coaches right now that have at least 50 wins in Tucson out of almost 40 teams. So there's not a lot of coaches, active coaches, that have reached that plateau. So that's a very meaningful plateau. Obviously, you want to get to 100, 150, 200, but what does it mean in your career around the 10-year mark to get that 50th win and build on what you started in your career?
Wins are hard to come by. There's some really good coaches in Tucson, and you know, I've been through going to Florian Wells was a great experience for me, seeing a different point of view, a different community. Kids are the same. That was the biggest thing I learned, is that kids are adaptable. They'll go with what you want, what you ask of them. The first year we went 5-5. The second year we were in 5A at the highest level of football with 33 guys in our varsity program, and we made the playoffs. We beat teams we should have never beat because the kids bought into the program. And my third year I went 5-5, and we could have went 8-2 if I would have not benched some people for an incident. Some kids made some bad choices, and I was trying to lay the foundation for a program going forward. And I took the high road, and I sat them down for 3 games that we lost. And if I would have just let the kids play, we would have won those games. We'd have been back in the playoffs. But I wanted to make a program, and so I ended up ultimately leaving Florian Wells because I didn't have the support that I wanted with those decisions. And Rich, he wanted me to come back. Curry wanted to retire, and it was a great decision for me to go back home. And Rich had me placed in the program in the right place, and we were able to win a state championship in 2003. And you know, it was a great culmination of a coaching career. I could have stopped right there and been done, but now being the head coach and back on the grind, I love it. You know, I love working with the kids. I love working with our community kids, and I love our administration right now. We're in a really good spot. So I feel really good about going forward and how many wins I get to. I told Steve that I was willing to do maybe 10 years. And we're trying to set the foundation because the Pop Warner, all the guys that we coached in those early 2000 teams, their sons are at the 10, 11, 12-year-old. And I told them, you guys in the next couple of years, I'll be the figurehead head coach and you guys can come run this stuff. And I'm gonna go on cruise control and you guys can take over. So that's the ultimate goal, is get these guys to get the foundation laid so these kids can come in and understand the work ethic that's expected, and those sons of the guys that won those state championships can come in and get us back to the state championship level, hopefully in the next couple of years.
We talked a lot about the past players, but I don't think a lot of people know that you have the top quarterback in the city at this point. And Deion Conde with 452 yards, you're saying he could be way over 500 if he didn't have some drops, and also you have Angel and a couple of the guys here. You want to talk about the three guys here, and then what's going to happen is Javier's going to interview them off the camera until we'll have an in-depth. But I just want you to talk about the three guys you brought and what they mean to the program.
Yeah, Deion's been special. He's a freshman, which is rare. He's only the second quarterback to ever start for us as a freshman, Andy Cota being the other. So he's just got it. That little it factor, the ability to spin the ball, to see it, make the throws. We're trying not to ask too much of them. We're probably throwing too many deep balls, but if they're going to give it, we're going to take it. So we're a couple drops away from some different scores and some different things going on, but the three guys I brought, Martin and Harvey, have been great senior leaders for us, setting the foundation of work ethic and buying into the program. Harvey has been just great as a leader. Martin has been great as work ethic and setting the tone and helping teaching kids and showing them the right way to play. They were my most experienced guys coming back from the football program. And Angel's just been dynamic. He lit it up in the summer, and we knew we had something special, and we just got to get the ball in his hands some more and get him more touches and let him do his thing. He's been a great attitude, adjustment. We've been putting out some quarterbacks to do some dynamics so he can be the wildcat guy, and he did a great job in the Desert View game. And the last game, we should have done a little bit more of it, but the officials decided to play in the last game and made it 17 penalties to 2. So we were a little frustrated at the end of the game, but we're putting up some good numbers. We're doing some good things. We got to get this line straightened out. This is our fourth center we're working on in 3 weeks, so this has been kind of pull my hair out for Posey deal. But those guys have been great. You know, Martin's our leading rusher, and going forward, he's going to have to tote the rock, and you know, we're going to have to pound the ball in there to beat Pueblo, and Angel's going to have to do his thing so we can get the win.
So you mentioned Pueblo, obviously you're on a bye week, so people can get healthy. Pueblo, the classic intercity game, Pueblo at Sunnyside. Not only is there the best food in the city at Sunnyside football games, I don't know if you're ever able to partake in that because you're coaching it, but it's great food, let me tell you. So tell me about that atmosphere preparing for a school like with Brandon Sanders, his tough mentality, your tough offensive mentality, and the grit that both of you have, and then the two teams.
Yeah, Brandon, I told our guys, you know, like, we're going to have a battle every week, no matter what. We don't have the talent level to just go beat people up like we did with the old teams. And so every game is going to be a battle. And, you know, watching what Pueblo's doing on offense, and, you know, they're good. They're solid. Their running backs are good football player. Their line's big, physical kids. Their quarterback's done a good job running their offense, and I'm impressed. You know, I love Brandon. You know, as a football fan, watching Brandon play football was some of the most impressive things I've ever seen. For a man his size to do what he did at the NFL level, that's a man's man. And, oh yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with him. He'd have to chase me down because I'd be running. But his football team is playing through, and you can see Brandon Sanders, and it's impressive to watch him play. And you know, I told our guys we're gonna have to knock down, drag out. We're gonna have to get some bloody knuckles and bloody noses, and because we're gonna have to hit and be physical to win the game. If we don't do it, we're gonna get our butts kicked. And we're gonna give them everything we got, and we made some adjustments in our defense, and I brought some guys over from Pima, and he's a young coach, and he's cutting his teeth right now and pulling his hair out at the same time, and we're trying to get this all figured out, but we got to get some kids to play, and we're close. We haven't turned the corner yet, but we're getting real close.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that one last thing. You mentioned the great senior leadership you have, but you also have a really good group of young players, including, to be honest, as a quarterback, as a true freshman. It's obviously true freshman in high school, but as a freshman, the way he's been able to lead the team. I saw him play against Desiview, and I was impressed on his composure throughout the whole game, all the way to the fourth quarter. But can you talk about just the youth of the team and what that means going forward in like the next couple of years?
Well, I'm really worried about this year. But when you're starting 7 sophomores and 2 freshmen, it's rough. We keep making bonehead mistakes, and and I told him, once you step on the field, you're a varsity football player. I don't care what grade you're in, but the future looks good. But I'm worried about next Friday, and we got to stop a heck of a good offense and a tough physical defense. So our kids just got to keep responding the right way, and that's what we're looking for, is how they carry themselves, how they react to bad situations, how they react when somebody else hits them back. And we're trying to instill the toughness and the mentality. Sometimes they respond really good. Sometimes we haven't responded the way we want, and that's the hard part about coaching. So thank God for alcohol, I guess, is part of it. But yeah, but Bud Light flavored water. But our kids are tough kids. Our community has a great tough reputation. If you look at our wrestling program, I know we have the right kids. So it's going to be a process, and we're getting close.
So again, I'm Andy Morales, Javier Morales, and Glenn Posey, coach at Sunnyside, and thank you to JJ, the owner of Wings Over Broadway, for the high school preview show. And we're going to go over some of the games later on today, and we're going to and thank you to APS Digital for bringing the great banners here, hanging them up. APS Digital does the Player of the Week, and again, thank you for watching, and take care.
Okay, let me see.